The air hung heavy and thick on that fateful August 13, 1984, in Blackfoot, Idaho, but nothing could compare to the chilling dread that would soon envelop two innocent 12-year-old boys. What started as a carefree summer adventure, a daring foray into an ancient, abandoned farmhouse bordering their sleepy little town, was about to unravel into a decade-long nightmare. A nightmare so profound, so utterly soul-shattering, that it would silence one boy for 10 agonizing years, leaving him a ghost in his own body. When the setting sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the two best friends were nowhere to be found. Panic, a cold, creeping tendril, began to grip their families and neighbors, sending them out into the gathering darkness, their voices echoing across the quiet fields. 16 agonizing hours later, in the suffocating darkness of that decrepit house's dirt-floored basement, one of them was found. Standing alone, facing a crumbling wall, whispering a never-ending litany of incomprehensible words. His once vibrant hair, now a shocking, spectral white. He was there, yet utterly absent, unable to respond, a hollow shell of the boy they knew. For 10 long years, he remained imprisoned within himself, not a single word escaping his lips. His parents, heartbroken and desperate, eventually sent him to an assisted living center, hoping against hope that someone, anyone, could reach him. Then, one ordinary morning, a decade after that terrifying incident, he broke his silence. He spoke, and the nurses listened, spellbound, as he unraveled the horrifying, unspeakable truth of what truly happened in that pitch-black basement. Every name in this bone-chilling tale has been altered, a desperate plea from the family to protect what little peace they have left. Ryan and I were inseparable, best friends since kindergarten, stitched together by fate and proximity. He was a farm boy through and through, born and raised on the land we both called home. My family, on the other hand, had moved to the area when I was just 4, but our identical ages made our bond inevitable, a connection that felt destined. Though, I must admit, our friendship didn't exactly blossom on day one. My very first memory of Ryan is the sting in my knuckles as I punched him squarely in the face. He'd snatched something precious from my sister, a small defiance that erupted into a full-blown scuffle, leaving him with a bloody lip and a tear-streaked face as he ran home to his mom. But somehow, through that childish skirmish, we forged a bond, a friendship so deep it felt like brotherhood, a bond that held strong until the day of the incident. That morning, like countless summer days before it, began with the usual hum of easygoing routine. Our houses, practically spitting distance apart, meant breakfast was a quick affair before we'd converge in my backyard, a shared council of two, to plot our day's adventures. Never once did it cross our young, innocent minds, however, that something far more sinister, far more ancient and malevolent, lay waiting. It lurked in the darkest corners, in the suffocating blackness of the basement of one of those long-forgotten, abandoned houses that dotted the landscape. I remember meeting Ryan bright and early that day, probably around 8 o'clock. "What do you want to do?" I asked, eager for the day's escapades. His eyes lit up. "Let's go down to one of the streams and catch some frogs." My agreement was immediate, enthusiastic, and total. And so, with the unburdened joy of youth, we set off. Our path to the stream, however, always took us past that house. The abandoned one. It had always given us the creeps, its decaying facade whispering tales of forgotten horrors. We avoided it like the plague, veering wide, our young minds filling in the gaps of its silent, ominous history. As we ambled down the dusty dirt path, our conversation a jumble of random, carefree chatter, we approached the house. And then, it happened. A sound, a whisper carried on the wind, fragile and desperate. "Help me, help me. I'm trapped down here in the basement. Please, help me." Ryan and I froze, a sudden, shocking tableau. Our mouths hung open, our eyes wide with disbelief, locked in a silent stare. Neither of us could comprehend what our ears had just registered. We stood there, rooted to the spot, for what felt like an eternity, before the voice came again, softer this time, but no less urgent. "Help me, please, help me." I was the first to find my voice, a shaky whisper. What if it really is a little girl trapped down there? What else could it be? Ryan, ever the more cautious, shook his head. "I don't know, man, I don't like it. We know everyone around here, and she doesn't sound like anyone we know. What would a little girl her age be doing in the basement of that house anyway?" His words were laced with an apprehension that mirrored my own, but a stronger force compelled me. "True," I conceded, "but we can't just do nothing. Let's take a quick look, and if it's really bad, We can always leave to go get help. Ryan hesitated, his gaze fixed on the house, a dark, gaping maw in the distance. Fine, man, but I don't like it, and I don't think we should be doing this. But the desperate pleas had already seeped into our young hearts. We gathered the meager scraps of courage we possessed, our bodies stiff with trepidation, and began to creep towards the house. Every step was a tiptoe, a silent negotiation with the rising fear. As we edged closer, within touching distance of the peeling paint and broken windows, the voice echoed again, closer now, a chilling invitation. Are you coming? Please come help me. The sheer terror that shot up my spine was like nothing I had ever experienced. It was an electric current of pure dread, making the hairs on my arms stand on end like sharp, cold needles. The front door was barely there, a gaping hole leading into the unknown. We ascended the steps, poked our heads inside, and peered into the gloom. The smell hit me first, a thick, putrid stench that clung to the air, an odor that would forever be seared into my memory, a constant reminder of that day. It was a smell that has never truly left my nose. As we stood there, frozen in the doorway, the girl's voice spoke again. This time, it was calmer, almost too calm, and it sent a fresh wave of unease through me. I know you're there. Come help me. I'm down here. That was it. My nerve finally broke. I was about to turn, to grab Ryan and scream, "Let's go," to flee that cursed place, when suddenly, Ryan surged forward. He bolted, a blur of desperate courage, towards the dark, gaping maw of the basement stairs. "Ryan, come back. What are you doing?" I shrieked, my voice cracking with fear. He didn't stop, didn't even glance back, disappearing down into the inky blackness. At that point, I was shaking so violently that my knees wobbled uncontrollably, threatening to give way. I felt lightheaded, convinced I was about to faint or collapse. I stood there, paralyzed, my mind racing, wrestling with a horrifying dilemma. I knew, with an absolute certainty, that I couldn't abandon my best friend. He was like my brother, a bond forged in countless childhood adventures. But I was also the most terrified I had ever been in my entire life. Yet, despite the soul-crushing fear, I made a decision. I would go into that basement. I would get my friend, no matter what horrors lurked below. As I slowly, agonizingly, walked deeper into the house, the old wooden floors groaned and creaked beneath my hesitant steps, each sound amplified in the suffocating silence. I crept towards the stairs that descended into the abyss of the dark basement. Reaching the top, I took a deep, shuddering breath, trying to calm the frantic pounding of my heart. Then, with a slow, deliberate resolve, I began to descend, one step at a time. As I proceeded downwards, I whispered Ryan's name, a barely audible plea into the darkness, but there was no answer. I stopped on the very last step, just before the corner, where the stairs turned into the unseen depths. By now, I was trembling so violently that a new fear gripped me. I worried I might urinate my pants. I noticed, as I had descended, that the putrid, horrid smell had intensified, growing worse with every step, the closer I got to the bottom. I took another deep, desperate breath, forcing myself to relax, and just as I was about to round the corner, a chilling sound reached my ears. A sickening crunch. It stopped me dead in my tracks. What could that possibly be? My mind screamed. Slowly, meticulously, I edged around the corner. The basement was utterly, impossibly dark, a suffocating void where sight was useless. The only light, a tiny, ethereal sliver, seeped through the cracks in the floorboards far above. I was about to take another step forward, when something on the ceiling, something massive and grotesquely out of place, made me freeze. I looked up, and there it was, a towering, black creature, silhouetted against the faint light, its form a terrifying distortion. And in its grasp, dangling limp and lifeless, was Ryan's bloodied body. I watched, horrified, as dark, viscous blood dripped from the creature's gaping mouth. My mind didn't have time to process, to comprehend the horror. My only reaction was a guttural scream, a primal cry of Ryan's name. The creature's head snapped towards me, its eyes, if it had them, burning into my soul. It let out a guttural hiss, a sound that pierced the very core of my being. Then, with a terrifying suddenness, it turned. With an impossible swiftness, it scuttled across the ceiling, its monstrous form blurring into the shadows, reaching the furthest corner of the basement. And then, it vanished. It simply scurried into a gaping hole, a dark maw in the wall, leaving me alone in the oppressive silence, surrounded by the stench of death and the ghost of a scream. The next thing I remember is waking up, staring blankly at a wall, someone shaking me, their voice a distant echo calling my name. I tried to speak, to explain, to scream, but no sound escaped. Nothing. Until today. For 10 years, it was like I was looking at the world through a thick, distorting mask, a prisoner within my own skin. My mind screamed, shouted, raged, but my body remained silent, unresponsive. Then, this morning, I woke up, and everything was suddenly, miraculously, normal. My voice was back, my eyes clear, the mask finally gone. I remember, vaguely, over those long, silent years, hearing hushed conversations around me. People talking about how they searched for Ryan for months, their hopes dwindling with each passing day, never finding a trace. No one, not a single soul, ever mentioned the hole in that basement. And honestly, I'm not even sure if the house still stands, a monument to a forgotten horror. But I know one thing for certain: when I get out of this place, I'm going back. I'm going back to that house, to that basement, to that hole. I will search for my friend, and I won't stop until I find him. Now, I've shared my harrowing tale, a story of friendship, fear, and a decade of silence. Tell me, if you were me, and you were standing at the top of those basement stairs, hearing that little girl's desperate cries, would you have gone down? What would you have done? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story sent a shiver down your spine, if it made you question the shadows in your own world, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Because out there, in the forgotten corners of our world, there are countless more stories waiting to be told, waiting to haunt your dreams. And trust me,